It might be too early to call this official, but we did have a second week of the professional photo shoot. You know, the stylings that we're used to seeing on Gibson.com for all the regular Gibson production models as well as the custom shop offerings. Versus what the mod collection had pretty much since its inception, that whole garage vibe. It could just be that the regular person who does this job is on vacation, maternity leave. So after we see it for 6 weeks, then I'll say it's 100% official. But to help with that narrative, they are blowing out the old ones. So here we can see, last week the demo shop had the big sale. Now it's the mod collection, 20% off with mod 20. I'd say my favorite out of this one is Peaches and Cream with the Trini Lopez standard. Don't really have a favorite on this one. But it's always fun to see multicolored Les Paul standards. I'd have to choose our green boy over there, even if it does have a Floyd Rose. If you were after that caramel Carina, that one lasted long enough. Fool's Glow's pretty sweet. This 57 reissue with the P90 humbucker combo is unique. And then the good old green guitars. There's also a second tier at 15% off for the slightly newer guitars, like that beautiful Laguna 59 reissue. That'd make it like, what, $5,400 after tax? Flaming Watermelon 50 standard. Even that kind of new Delta Moss BB King Lucille. And ooh, this one's tricky. Do you go P90 custom for the uniqueness of the pickup choice or the beautiful blue burst? But here's our new offering, starting with SG Modern Deep Crystal Blue. So far, I really dig the plastics choice on this. The nickel hardware with the blinding white. Check out your switch tip, it's also metal. But then you've got that interesting choice to have the uncovered double black pickup in the bridge versus the double white in the neck. It kind of works because of the ebony fretboard, but that is a very nice metallic blue. But then looking on it from the full perspective, we can see something a little bit fancy with our truss rod cover. It has been modified to be white, and yep, I'm digging the new photo style because it helps us see the side profile shot of at least the headstock. You can see the blue reflecting there. But then flipping it over to the back, pretty much more of the same. White backplate with blue neck and body, and our Gibson Mod Collection decal. And oh hey, if they're charging a premium for it, it's nice that they at least gave you a custom shop case. Now this one's fascinating. ES339 birch beer flavor, but look at it. That's so strange just having a neck pickup on that particular model. Because you gotta remember, this is pretty much a Les Paul sized 335. So something about it being a tiny body with fewer pickups than usual is kind of cute. I like it. But the finish might be kind of oxblood-like. It talks down here about being a metallic dark cherry color. But oh my goodness, it didn't hit me till just right now. That thing doesn't have F-holes either. And we just have a single voodoo knob right here, likely for a volume control. And we've got a large output jack on the side. The reason why they had to do that, it's like the old Les Paul Supremes. They need some area to get in there. And they didn't want to hack up the back. That's actually pretty sweet. So if I had to guess, this probably made it to the mod collection before the stage that they routed it for everything else, so they kind of had some options as to what they wanted to do. Mod collection, guys, good job. That's exactly what this section is for. Another one I was impressed with this week is the Jazzbury Jam. There's one of the newer studios that has the binding along the fretboard, but everything about that finish is very cool. It's primarily pink with a center pinstripe, and then they give you that 3D effect with some slight purple shadowing throughout. Maybe they're trying to make it look like a circus tent. Maybe they're going for hot rod custom pinstriping. I'm not sure, but it's unique, especially with those pickup rings. We haven't seen them use the swirled plastic ones in a while, but the purple and white matches perfectly with the rest of our color scheme here. But then when you get to the full body shot, you can see they went for more of a hot pink headstock versus the slightly cooler pink body. That certainly stands out. White plastic just for fun. Moving on to the back is more of a sparkly pink, but you can read your serial number almost perfectly. Nice job. And the back has the continuation of that. But now, 58 reissue in easy blue satin. First glance, I like the color scheme, and I like the binding, but this looks like a cheap Les Paul traditional level guitar, not a high-end 58 reissue. But that's the beauty of it. Just because it looks like that, you're still going to have that nice beefy neck profile and all the other good custom shop stuff. But we've got the uncovered zebra bobbin pickups, golden speed knobs, left off our pick guard. Headstock, it does appear they relatively left that alone outside of the usual things they take. And flipping on over to the back, the satin finish continues but in natural. It's labeled as DS number 266. And the back is also open pore. Something I was thinking about with them changing their photo stylings is they must have gotten caught up with the backlog listings that they wanted to republish, because otherwise they're going to stand out like a sore thumb. Speaking of which, you can still see some of the red in the pores, But if you like that dark cherry finish earlier, they also have a 330 in what they called pepper brown. Looks more like a cherry cola to me, but to each their own. That finish will pair nicely with that natural neck and the more woody tones of the rosewood fretboard. And then we've got our regular dog ear P90 pickups. Oh, look closely at those knobs. I just thought those were regular black ones. But no, that's actually the custom shop knob styling that they used on those NAMM ones, I bet. That's kind of cool. Blends some of those elements onto a 330. But we've still got those button tuners on the headstock and the usual stylings of continuing the new finish along the back and edge, but leaving the neck natural. But I do like the striping that this headstock has. And oh, this photo shows you the multi-chromatic sparkly effect to it. It's going to have a little bit of red, gold, and green. And hey, that's kind of cool. You're going to be able to still see the mahogany of the neck. But if that's not your style, they also had black cherry. But this one got a little bit cheeky. I like it better. First off, you get metal pickup covers, which is great for your dog ear P90, but pay special attention to that neck pickup. That looks like a Firebird to me, or it could be a pole pieceless mini humbucker. But they had to make a new custom surround for it that reminds you of like the old Tysco type things. But it's mimicking the old dog ear styling, so they could get away with utilizing the same holes. But if you look closely, the pickguard is a different material than usual, the tortoiseshell one. But then your neck pickup's ring is crafted out of a similar material. That's a fun play on colorings that they've got going on here. They even matched the headstock. The ES330 is not my favorite model in the world, but I'd totally review this. I like the way they did it. And I'm not usually a big fan of red guitars either. But this one, it's gotta be my least favorite this week. You can't call something Harold the Big Swamp Gator and not put Harold the Big Swamp Gator on here. This is some Primus sounding guitar, and Winona's Gator not on the thing. They should have took a chunk of mahogany down to Ricky and said, hey, quickly carve us up a little alligator head. Just glued it to the back and then painted it. But no, we get a really cool name for just a kind of metallic green Victory. It's like, don't get me wrong, it's cool. But with a name like this, I was expecting a little bit more. But they threw a Bigsby on it, put the Vibramate, covered over your old stop bar tailpiece studs. And in case you missed it, they did refret this with golden fret wire, so that is a little bit above and beyond what the mod collection guys normally do. But otherwise, it's just a dark metallic green finish. And lastly, they smoothed things out with the Studio Session Pale Ale for $26. Now granted, for one of these studios, that is a fantastic top. It's not too pinstripey, it's not quite super high-end flame, but it's got a certain wideness to it that works perfectly with their new colorations and the perimeter burst design. And the no pickguard helps show that off, and you can see that natural neck just slightly poking out, with the same thing showing off on the side of the headstock, which we can verify in this photo. And then flipping over to the back, looks like they just went straight up satin black with a matching satin natural for the neck. But now the UK mod collection. I'm wondering how long it's going to take for these guys to cycle into the new photos. Because I'm pretty sure these photos get taken for them beforehand, and they just upload them to the site and ship them overseas. I could be wrong on that. They might have just recreated the setup. But this one is called the Les Paul Jr. Bronzeberry, which you can start to see that come to play right here, where the bronze finish really shows off on the back. And okay, that's cool. So the top is completely blue, but if you didn't know to look for it, the edges are still the bronze, and then the back is also blue, but it looks like this one did not survive shipping 100%, as it did get some finish checking along the way. And you know what? I've never really put two and two together that these candid shots, that I usually call them, are just them taking additional photos of it so somebody's not disappointed. Because if you notice, the background is not exactly the same. We've solved the mystery. But anyways, it's Pickguardless Jr. with the P90 now in cream. But it was just 330 week. Festive Sandwich Sparkle. Quite a name for a very boisterous guitar. Look at that. It looks a little bit fancier than usual because you don't have that cheap looking tailpiece. It's a straight up Bigsby taking up a lot of real estate. And they've done it up in gold, and you get this kind of goldish green sparkle to the rest of your finish. The pickups were also outfitted with golden pole pieces. And then the back, they get the continuation of that finish, but with a red neck. And I'm assuming it's going to be a red side yet. Is that why they called it a sandwich? It's like having pickles and ketchup. That's one way to do it. And then they also said yes ma'am to the candy yam jam. We've got the rusty orange top with the flame figuring showing underneath, but the uncovered black bobbined pickups with the reflector knobs and a really dark rosewood board. And then our headstock's looking pretty bare because we've got the new blank truss rod cover, no Les Paul model silkscreen. And the back follows that up with more black. But now the USA Demo Shop, they wrapped up their sale, but I'm pretty sure if you count the ones that sold, they were probably up to like 600, so 300 guitars within 2 weeks. those are pretty good sales numbers. But you can definitely tell they were pumping things out for that, because this week we only had like maybe 30 offerings versus the 150 plus. The first one I wanted to share, another Mary Ford being blown out for a great price, $2,200. If anybody's in the market for one of these, I've got a first quality one. I can match that price if you're cool doing that through New Guitar Day payment terms. But the reason why I wanted to share this one is we talked about this in the review, how if you're not careful and you accidentally scratch the back of it, that's all you're seeing from the top is the graphic that they put onto the back. So if you scratch, you can actually see through it. So that one has a blemished arm guard and a few other minor things. But I am just baffled how many of these Billy Joe Armstrongs they had. I wonder if people returned them because they thought they were going to be jet black ebony instead of the slightly see-through ebony. But I wanted to share that one because it was a particularly see-through version. This one is a Les Paul Traditional Pro 5, but this time the satin finish. That's a Guitar Center exclusive, so you don't see that within the demo shop every day. But that's the one with all the fancy electronics. We just recently reviewed the gloss version of that if you want to check that out in depth. But that's an old one from early 2023. The standard 61 gets its heyday because kind of an interesting little schloop in the wood grain right there. The back didn't really have anything too crazy outside of a slightly striped headstock. But the final guitar of our recap this week had much more striping going on. But a very interesting top as far as the really ringy wood grain, but still having lots of flame going on. Located on both sides. It's just the pick guards hiding most of the ringiness. But alright, Troglodytes, I hope you enjoyed, and we'll catch you tomorrow on the next one. Take care.